Hello, this is Ashton's Rants, episode 20, and this is a special Father's Day episode. So, I was actually raised by my dad. I lived with him since I was in grade 6, and he was a pretty different kind of person. I was very lucky to be his son and have him give me a lot of great advice. And today I thought I would share some of that with you. I picked out 3 kind of good ones that have really stayed with me. Unfortunately, he passed away in 1999, and but these lessons have always really stuck with me. And I figured this would be a good way of honoring him on this day. So, lesson number 1. When I was a kid, I used to read a lot of books. I used to write a lot. And when I was in elementary school, I actually wanted to be a writer. I used to write a lot of short stories, and writing just really came natural to me. And, teachers kind of pointed out that I was good at it and everything. And it was just something that I really, really loved doing. And so I decided I was going to be a writer, and that's kind of what I was focused on. And then what ended up happening is over the span of a year or two, I just stopped writing. I don't know what happened. I just lost interest in it, but I still kept saying, I want to be a writer. I'm going to be a writer. And finally, my dad just kind of got sick of me talking about that. And I guess the dichotomy of saying I wanted to be a writer and not writing. And he just said straight up, he said, "You're not going to be a writer." And I was like, well, I was really shocked. I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, well, if you're not writing, you're never going to be a writer. And I remember originally when he said that, I quite frankly, I thought he was kind of being a real jerk. And then as it kind of sunk in over the next couple of weeks, it really actually made a lot of sense. I was kind of lying to myself because I was keeping this old dream alive, even though it was pretty clear that I didn't really want to do it anymore. And how this would apply to anyone doing music or anything in the arts really is, sometimes that drive is so hard that you just want it so badly, or you think you want it so badly, but you just stop doing those things that will allow you to achieve it. And the reason I bring this up today is that sometimes it's just something that you lose interest in, and that's okay. You find other interests, maybe you have a family, things are going really well at work or whatever. It's not the end of the world. You can really, really drive yourself nuts holding on to an old dream that is not something that is true to yourself for today. And please don't confuse this with, maybe a momentary, even a years long, not being really inspired, or not really wanting to do anything for a period. Maybe you'll end up jumping back into it, but make sure to be honest with yourself. If you want to be in music, you're going to have to make some music. So lesson number 2 is kind of comes from around the same age, and that was when I was doing some yard work. I can't remember what I was doing. I was doing some yard work or something around the front of the house, and even though I was in North Bay and I lived on a busy street, and yes, there are busy streets in North Bay. And so I was kind of embarrassed, all these people seeing me working, and I was really dirty and everything. And my dad I think he looked out the window and he could see that I was kind of even trying to hide or myself or, people walking by. I can't remember. But, and he actually got a little upset with me, and he just said, never be ashamed of working. And that message has always rung true for me since he said that. I'm renovating a house in Hamilton, and I'm routinely just covered in dirt and walking around and going to, Home Depot or hardware stores or whatever, in the middle of working or whatever. Now, for those of you who aren't planning on buying a house in Hamilton and renovating it like an idiot like me, I think that message still can relate to someone who's just in the arts. A lot of times in the arts, you're going to work really hard. You're going to have to, you're going to be doing videos. You're going to be doing some things on the sly a little bit, you're doing your video and you're dressed in this weird costume and everyone's looking at you weird, or you're gonna have to miss out on some things because you have other things you have to accomplish, or even, I think the message also kind of rings true with sometimes what's going to happen is maybe you're not going to have a lot of money, so your some of your clothes aren't going to be what you want them to be, or you're not going to have money for certain things. But just try not to let that bother you. Just you realize, you're working towards your goal. This is all about your goal and reaching success. Okay, in lesson 3, I was a little older when this happened. My dad was a really big fan of Law and Order. Law and Order used to, well, I guess it still does, I don't know, but it used to play every night at 11 p.m. And, sometimes I'd be sitting there watching it with him. And he used to, every so often, when that dum like theme song used to come on, he used to always just look at me and he goes, "The person who wrote that is a millionaire." And what he was saying is he was looking at his son who was really, really interested in music and, wanted to be the big star or whatever the hell I wanted back then. And what he was pointing out is that there's a lot of different ways of doing really well in music. And I've already discussed licensing. That I guess that would actually be more of a composing thing. But the point is there's so many different ways to make a living in music. Take a look and maybe you'll find a really good home for yourself, and you'll find a really, really great life in something else related to music instead of like the big prize of being like the big star, the big whatever. There's a lot of great things you can do and create music and work on really, really great projects in a way that maybe you didn't really anticipate. So I hope you enjoyed hearing a few lessons I learned from my father. I hope you have a great Father's Day yourself and have a great week.